여기까지 오는 길이 그리 쉬운 길은 아니에요.
Well, it was not easy to get here.
우리한테는 우리 발목을 잡는 그 과거가 있고 또 그릇된 법률과 관행들이 우리 때로는 우리 눈과 귀를 가리고 있었는데 우리 모든 것을 이겨내고 이 자리까지 왔습니다.
The past worked as fetters on our limbs, and the old prejudices and practices worked as obstacles on our way forward, but we overcame all of them and we are here today. And we'll solve a big problem, a big dilemma that until this point has been unable to be solved. I know that working together we will get it taken care of.
And there we have it, just in prime time last night on the Mountain Time Zone. Kim and the president come together to have a meeting of the minds, signing a document. We'll talk a little bit about that today, a lot about that today. Kevin Miller's Cash Code Word. By the way, good morning. Thank you all for joining us. You're listening to 580 AM, 107.5 FM, KIDO Talk Radio. Today's Kevin Miller Cash Code Word is sand. That's right, sand. And don't forget, this is the last week where you can win up to $5,000. That's right, up to $5,000. Listen at 6:05, 8:05, and 3:05. 2 hours during the morning show and the first hour of Sean Hannity, who is exclusively live in Singapore. That's right, Sean is there, giving his firsthand accounts of the issues that matter not only to America but to the world. So Sean Hannity this afternoon, live from Singapore. Joining us now to figure out how the media, the culture, the news is disseminated is Matt Feldman from the Media Research Center. Matt, good morning.
Good morning.
So, did you watch any of the coverage last night, specifically when you had, was it Andrea Mitchell or others going, I just hope he doesn't screw this up? Amazing that Kim gets the benefit of the doubt as opposed to the president.
Yeah, and somebody else was worrying that he might be jet lagged, and you know he could screw it up because he's jet lagged. Yeah, that was a CNN host who was afraid of that. It's amazing. It's just part of a media culture, and it just gets worse every day. The fact that he's pulled this off is, I think, fairly impressive. And but you know, you're not going to hear that. You're not going to hear it from people in the media. You're certainly not going to hear it from Hollywood. You know, the same people that when Clinton did this celebrated it back in '94 when Clinton got nothing out of it and left us where we are now, essentially.
Yeah, again, how did it all go bad? And we've loved the Media Research Center for years. You guys have been tracking these guys, holding them accountable. But where did the media take the massive left turn? Was it during the Clinton administration, or has it always been this way?
Well, I think they've always leaned left, but I do think there was a certain amount of professionalism prior to the advent of 24-hour news cycle. Walter Cronkite was a card-carrying liberal, and he slanted his news that way. But I think he also probably felt a responsibility to essentially tell the truth and not to be a hard partisan on the air. What we see now from CNN is just, it's so over the top. It's off the charts. Everything is Trump hate. Everything is the president is crazy. The president is lying. The president is this. The president is that. And they're no longer credible. They are, look at Jim Acosta, their White House correspondent, senior White House correspondent, who has decided his entire job is to be rude and throw temper tantrums. This is the strangest approach to news gathering I've ever seen. This isn't helping his viewers understand anything. This is him grandstanding. It's him playing to some far lefties. It's him hoping to get his own show, et cetera, et cetera. But it's not giving the not furthering our understanding of what's going on in the White House or what's going on in the government.
They seem to take it personally, though, whenever Donald Trump does something unorthodox, which is all the time, really. But they take it personally.
Yes, that is true. Now, it's interesting because I think that, I have a theory that they feel a little bit personally responsible for him being there. The fact of the matter is when he was running against more solid conservatives, more predictable conservatives in the primaries, he got a ton of free publicity because he was the reality star host, because he was, it looked like to the news media, the most easily beaten by a Democrat. That's who you want out there. That's who you want winning the Republican primaries, anybody that Hillary can beat handily. Well, it didn't work that way, and they have, to some degree, created this monster. And I think there's a mea culpa in everything. Every attack they make, there is a mea culpa. And look, you knew what this man was like before he ever emerged victoriously from a primary, and you gave him tons of free publicity. It's as simple as that.
Matt Philbin joining us from the Media Research Center. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio, 580 AM, 107.5 FM. Let's get to the Tonys. We talked a little bit about that yesterday with your great friend Dan Gaynor, but the Tonys are kind of crazy. Here you have, and I guess Matt, we have to just take a look at the weekend. We have the G7 summit. President Trump, for the first time, stands up for America, talks about tariffs, whether you agree with him or not. That is his plan. We have people scolding him, saying, how dare he humiliate our most loyal allies. I was thinking about football for some reason. I almost said athletes, but how dare you? He goes there. Don't screw this up, Kim. Then you have De Niro dropping the F-bomb all over the place on Sunday night during the Tony Awards. What gives?
Well, I think what gives is it occurs to me that probably most people in America, certainly most men, woke up Monday morning and said, who's this Tony guy and why is Robert De Niro yelling about Trump to him? This is the left-wing bubble. This is Hollywood, or the East Coast equivalent of Hollywood, showing us their stripes. And this is them further separating themselves from the middle of America, from people that don't necessarily, like Trump or don't necessarily wouldn't necessarily vote for him again or vote for him in the first place. But they are sort of drifting so far off to the left. And what De Niro was doing was he was basically doing one-upmanship with Samantha Bee. She got to say the C word on the air. So now De Niro comes out, I get to say the F word. And it's a race to see who hates Trump more, who can be ruder to the Trump family. And their audience eats it up. All the left-wing, lefty actors and Hollywood types and Broadway types, they eat it up. So they're in a bubble, and they don't understand how they are alienating the rest of America. If I were a GOP ad poobah, I would have Tony footage from here. I'd be running Tony footage from here to the midterms, making ads out of it, making hay out of the hatred, out of the pretensions, out of the total disregard for the rest of America. And I would be doing it in such a way that to say that this is the modern left in America. And this is what they have in store for you. Which I think would probably terrify a lot of people.
Matt Philbin joining us from the Media Research Center. Matt, we always appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All right. 580-5436. 580-KIDO. Don't forget, catch Sean Hannity this afternoon live from Singapore. You'll hear from Sean and the president. In addition to that, at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, your last week to win Kevin Miller's cash. And don't forget, God and Country. That's right, God and Country coming up once again at the Ford Idaho Center Amphitheater. We will give you the details of, well, what you can do to be involved, and we would love to see you there. That's coming up next. You're listening to 580 AM, 107.5 FM, KIDO Talk Radio.
You didn't think coming in here you were going to sign an agreement, and you said maybe it takes 2, 3, 4, 5 meetings, but you were open to going as fast or as slow as you wanted.
We got along better than I would have assumed right from the beginning. We got a lot more done today than I ever thought possible. And he's going back. He's now headed back. And I think he's going back to get this done. He wants to get it done. You know, you hear the whole thing about his father and other administrations or his grandfather. The fact is that he brings that up. But they weren't dealing with me. They were dealing with different people. And
What
they
did
never
he say
got very
was the
far. You know,
difference?
nobody's ever come close to this.
Did he talk about the difference between past administrations and yours?
Yes, but I can't say that because I don't want to be the one saying it. At some point, I'm sure he'll say it.
Yeah.
But they never got it done. And they were never this close either. I mean, it was never to a point where they were like we are.
There you have it, our own Sean Hannity interviewing President Trump. Remember, when you hear the Fox News Channel, you're listening to KIDO Talk Radio, 580 AM, 107.5 FM. Good morning. Kevin Miller, getting your thoughts on what happened the big night last night, Kim and the Trump. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Let's go to R&R. Good morning, R&R.
Good morning, Kevin. Of course, this would be with Mrs. Miller's permission, but I'm offering $1,000 cash money for the original video of you watching TV last night of the of the Singapore. I saw it at a beautiful downtown location, and I had my beautiful dog sitting with me in a rare moment indeed. And I mean, seriously, $1,000 cold cash, and it's tell you what, if Custer's hair goes for $12,000, I'm willing to up it to $2,000, but we'll go. You got to have your woman's permission to let that stuff out. You are loved by many. Let me say this. My papa has been gone since 97, and in 94 I had the wherewithal to go take a road trip with him, and I highly recommend you do that with your daddy. I was in Gettysburg, gifted in my life to be able to go to those places before I retired. In Gettysburg, take at least a week if you can, and your daddy wants to. Your daddies ask for not very much very often, but when they do, you can use that $2,000 to go on your road trip, and my cash offer is there for you. We love you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We love you, too. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. I do want to remind you, the Treasure Valley God and Country Festival will be Tuesday, the 26th. Gates open at 4 o'clock, and it's free. We've been there every year. We'll be there as well. And you can hear the fireworks after dark on KIDO Talk Radio. God and Country of the Treasure Valley. It's going to be a big, big event, free music, free fun, and a family-friendly, God-friendly, patriotic-friendly event. We can't wait to see you there at God and Country. Let's, why don't we do this? 624, Kevin Miller in the morning. Traffic and weather together.
The situation was after a certain detonation in 2016. And here's the president telling you about his tough rhetoric and how it led to this moment. Listen.
A lot of people, critics, quickly saying, when you said Little Rocket Man or fire and fury, or, when he said, oh, I've got a red button on my desk, he said, well, mine's bigger and it works better than yours. How did it evolve from that to this? Because he did say at the very beginning, we're going to basically start over, but that has been building behind the scenes.
Well, I think without the rhetoric, we wouldn't have been here. I really believe that. We did sanctions and all of the things that you would do, but I think without the rhetoric, other administrations, I don't want to get specific on that, but they had a policy of silence. If they said something very bad, very threatening and horrible, just don't answer. That's not the answer. That's not what you have to do. So I think the rhetoric, I hated to do it. Sometimes I felt foolish doing it. But we had no choice.
So Little Rocket Man got him to the table, Sean.
You know what's really amazing about that is, and I had a follow-up question with him on that, and I said, so this was strategic. He said, I even felt a little embarrassed about having to go out there so aggressively. And clearly the president, and I would assume this is part of what the president did in his business life, is that he went right at him. Mm-hmm. And he went at him hard, and he didn't back down.
And there we have it, the president not backing down, and really going to show you just how important it is. Just how important it is when you're looking at somebody and you don't back down. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Liberal Steve joins us now on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Liberal Steve.
Good morning, Idaho. What a great day in the history of the world, of the earth, of the United States, the Korea Peninsula. Wow. Got to hand the president kudos. Got the man to the table. He says he's going to denuclearize. They'll be keeping a watch on him. And we live in such a great country where you got Robert De Niro. I haven't seen it, but he's up at the Tony things. I don't watch that stuff. Said a few things that I'm not going to repeat, but isn't it glad? I'm glad we live in a country that, could you imagine an actor in Russia standing up on a stage where they're handing out awards and saying that about Putin?
No.
He'd be in bed dying 2 days later from something, wouldn't he?
He'd have the dirt map.
That's what's great about that country. That's what's great about your talk show, Kevin. You get me on the line, and I know I rub people the wrong way, but, I love R&R. I love Tea Party Bob. I love everybody out there, and they go back and forth and everything, but you know what? We're Americans. And when it's time to get together, Americans get together. You're right on. It's the news media. Both sides are guilty, though. I think they should come to the table. I don't have cable or any of that, so I can't watch CNN. I can only watch the big three: CNN, NBC, ABC, and CBS, or whatever they are. But I just woke up happy this morning. I didn't stay up for anything last night. I woke up at 4 and got up and read everything, and I was just. I was almost in tears because this is so important. People don't realize what nuclear war, total annihilation with all the big nuclear, China, Russia, United States start throwing missiles at each other. There ain't going to be nothing left. So for two men to sit down and that have called each other Rocket Man and people that call in and call me names and stuff. I've always been willing to show up at your gatherings and everything and talk with people, and
even when people throw food at you.
Yeah, I don't even when.
But you antagonize people as well.
Well, so does Trump. That's what we do, Kevin. That's why.
But you're not Trump. You're not the president of the United States.
And I'm not a billionaire.
Sadly.
Anyway, you stay fired up, and it's a great day in America.
Liberal Steve, thank you.
Oh, you're more than welcome. Stay fired up, man.
All right, our great friend Liberal Steve. Much more coming up. Hey, by the way, a big Thursday event here at KIDO Talk Radio. The WWE is in town, and if you would like to go for free, we're going to be giving away tickets to see the WWE this Friday, but you've got to listen Thursday for your chance to win. we're fired up, and again, our way of just thanking you for supporting this program that you have made so great. Kevin Miller in the morning. Our time is 6:30. Let's find out what's happening in your world at 580 AM, 107.5 FM. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning, Kevin.
Blessed to be a part of your day. Joined now by Simon Owen, live from London, Fox News Radio on KIDO Talk Radio. Simon, good to have you with us.
Hey, Kevin. Morning.
So, first off, the G7 summit, the fallout continues. Also, any initial thoughts on what happened yesterday between Kim and the president from Europe's perspective, sir?
Yeah, I mean, the European governments have been fairly quiet so far. I mean, this summit, to be fair, did only just finish a couple of hours ago, so we wait and see what they come out with. But Britain has said that this meeting was an important step. The Prime Minister here, her spokesperson, said that North Korea's apparent commitment to denuclearization is, in Britain's words, quote, a signal that they have finally heeded the message. And the only other reaction I've seen has come from the Russians, who have made a point to praise President Trump's pledge to halt joint military exercises with South Korea. Now, this is something North Korea and Russia have been calling for years, and President Trump sort of dropped this one into a news conference he held after the summit finished, that he's going to put a halt to those exercises. So the Russians are very pleased about that, and the Russian Foreign Ministry said it's necessary to end provocative actions. So, yeah, I mean, broadly welcome, as you might imagine, a bit of caution in there about just what might have been promised and what might happen when, and what kind of guarantees are there for the North Koreans to bring something to the table as well.
You have to wonder, of course, we've been down this road through many administrations, through many world leaders, and, it's great for the press, it's great for the news media, maybe we could all sing Kumbaya, but, this was a big concession that the president did give him to stop those war games.
Well, indeed, and the thing is, in this era of wanting immediate results and news and information, unfortunately, you just have to wait and see how these things go. You can't know what the result of this is going to be. It's going to take time to really shake down and for the details to come out. I mean, certainly on the military exercises, the South Koreans have said that they are awaiting clarification from the White House about what that commitment means. There will be some conservatives in South Korea who will be alarmed by that decision by the president, because they'll see it as a concession to North Korea, and at the same time North Korea doesn't appear to have pledged anything itself in return, at least in concrete terms. It's talked about denuclearization, but it's been talking about that for years. So what's the news from their side? So, yeah, I mean, there will be a bit of skepticism about that, and whether the U.S. goes through with it or not, we wait and see. Certainly U.S. forces in Korea have told us today that they have not been given any guidance, and so they continue to prepare for the next round of exercises, and there's a big one coming up, I think, in October.
Simon, finally, the fallout from the G7 summit continues, and the president wants Vladimir Putin to come back in, bring back the G8. The fallout continues. Any other thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, the other G7 members, I think all of them, or certainly most of them, don't want Russia back in. Russia was kicked out a few years ago for getting involved in Ukraine and annexing part of that country, and the Europeans say that for as long as Russia is continuing to mess around in Ukraine, it's not welcome back in this group. President Trump sort of threw a bit of a explosive statement in there just at the start of the summit, just about saying, it's time to get Russia back around the table. He said, we have a world to run. That was the way he described it, as the importance of getting the Russians back there. But yeah, I mean, this is potentially a slightly lazy comparison, I think. But, I mean, you can look at the scenes from Singapore today. President Trump and Kim Jong-un speaking very warmly about each other and smiling for photographs. And you contrast that with a pretty disastrous meeting with countries that are traditionally the United States allies, and pretty durable allies at that. The German Chancellor got home and said that the conclusion of the meeting had been sobering and depressing. The French president's office accused President Trump of fits of anger and said that you can't conduct international cooperation in that manner. There is a wedge now between the US and Europe, and it's all over the president's decision to impose tariffs on European steel and aluminum. And he says he's finally sticking up for the American worker, and it's time that the tariffs that other countries have against American goods, it's time that America fought back, essentially, and pushed hard on this. Well, Chancellor Merkel of Germany said that European leaders will not be taken advantage of, and she said that the European Union essentially will fight fire with fire.
Simon, we appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Kevin.
Simon Owen joining us exclusively on KIDO Talk Radio, 580 AM, 107.5 FM. Don't forget on Thursday, your chance to win tickets to see the WWE for free just by listening to Kevin Miller Mornings on KIDO Talk Radio. Now, there are a lot of people that are already talking about this historic summit. There was one man, an American, who knows Kim and knows President Trump. His name, Dennis Rodman.
Last 5 years.
Which guy?
And I talked to Kim Jong-un and an administration over there 5 years ago. And he asked me 5 years ago, we sat down for lunch. And he sat down and asked me, hey, Dennis, I would like to ask you three things. If you go back to tell the President of the United States these three things, and I would be willing to talk to him. And it's a true story, and I got my people here that was there that heard the conversation. He said things like, if they can move the ships back from South Korea, I would do what I have to do to listen. If you can move certain things or do certain things, I will listen. My ears will be open. And I tried to do that to Obama. And Obama didn't even give me the time of day. I asked him, I said, I have something to say from North Korea. He just brushed me off. But that didn't deter me. I still kept going back. I kept going back. I kept going back. I showed my loyalty and my trustworthy to this country. And I said to everybody, I said, the door will open.
I remember you saying it. I remember you saying it. Let me ask you something. Does Kim understand English, Dennis?
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. When I said those things, when I said those damn things, when I went back home, I got so many death threats. I got so many death threats when I was sitting there protecting everything. And I believed in North Korea. And when I went home, I couldn't even go home. I couldn't even go home. I had to hide out for 30 days. I couldn't even go home. But I kept my head up high, brother. I knew things were going to change. I knew it. I was the only one. I never had no one to hear me. I didn't know one had to see me. But I took those bullets. I took all that. I took everything. Everyone came at me, and I'm still standing. And today is a great day for everybody. Singapore, Tokyo, China, everything. It's a great day.
It is a great day. This is a historic day.
I'm so happy.
You were saying to me years ago that you thought this would happen. And I want to...
And there we have it. Dennis Rodman. Forget about Donald Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. It should go to Rodman. Cindy, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller. Hello, Cindy.
Good morning, Kevin Miller. I just say thank you for purporting God and country, and hopefully everybody gets to hear Nick. Great testimony, and you know what? I'm going to have to laugh. Almighty God does open doors, and He can close them, and most people are clueless to what that means. But you know what? I just like to say. Thank you very much for the first person you had on. And when they were discussing the media, you know, I have to really say this and about Hollywood. They really don't live in so much of a bubble. They are everything that is the antithesis of what is good in America. They are downright the point of the spear. Evil. They are evil. They are poisonous. You look at what Samantha and Mr. Nero, and I disagree with your first caller. When 70 years ago in America, would you ever hear that guttural, foul, despicable language from both Mr. Nero and Miss Samantha? And they actually, no one, even the Republican Party, doesn't push back. Open up your mouth, representatives in this state. That is your commander-in-chief. He has a young son. He has a wife that just endured very difficult surgery. So, you know what? I don't know. They gin up their base. You have crazies then. Look what happened on a baseball field with Steve Scalise. Look what happened with how many people do you think are at a country concert, you know, out in Las Vegas? Who ginned up that base when you have other people pointing a fist? But your last night radio show person, spoke about images. You can either want to put an image this morning of Mr. Nero, so fallen from God's grace, so fallen. God will give him another breath until he comes into repentance. Or you can think of this Thursday when you have that iconoclastic picture of our men on Mount Suribachi raising the flag of this country, the opposite of Mr. Nero, who is not virtuous, a total coward. Go say those things right. Go say those things any other place, and you'd be taken down, sir, Mr. Nero and Miss Samantha. And here you have virtuous what? 1 Navy Corpsman, 5 Marines. Get that picture in your mind, folks. Learn something about what this country once stood for and what these men just went for. Days of hunger, no food. They sit at their little old award dinner. They are clueless to our American history. And when your fellow last night said, well, what picture are you going to keep of your mind? Well, I'm happy to read right now Flags of Our Fathers. I will keep that picture. That picture is not in my mind, but it's in my heart. Because that was the nation that was, where those words did not come out, just imagine, that is not considered hate speech about your commander-in-chief and president. I say it's hate speech, and I'm sick of other people then calling you're a racist, Islamic phobe, that's called hate speech.
Well, and something, Cindy, and thank you for the call, that's a very good point. And there are people here that attack me and attack you and attack this show. And that's a very brilliant point. Cindy, thank you for bringing that home. And here it is. At 580-5436, 580-KIDO, I have had people try to target this program that have gone to people that support this program and say, how dare you have that right-wing extremist Kevin Miller in your business, at your school? How dare you support him? And here's the irony, dear friend. You can have Robert De Niro, and again, brilliant point, Cindy. You can have Robert De Niro say, F the president. You can have all those people, those secularists in Hollywood, say these horrible things. And in the Treasure Valley in Idaho, in the reddest of the red state, you have a conservative talk show host that, unlike any other, we love to hear what you have to say. We are truly Republicans. We embrace conservatism. We don't back away from that. We talk about God. We love America. And you have people with bitterness in their hearts make accusations, slander, maliciousness, trying to destroy not only this platform, but to make sure that I'm unemployed. Sean Hannity goes through it. I have been a victim of it before. And this is the hypocrisy that we face each and every day. It just hit me there when you can have these people. What is it? Blue girl, red state, people driving around saying how proud they are to be libs and how we are such bad people. And these are the same people that will defend the potty-mouthed gangster, De Niro. And yet, if we just have Cindy on or Tea Party Bob, or I say President Trump's doing a good job, I'm the extremist. The same people that voted for Bill Clinton, that maligned Monica Lewinsky, that went after Juanita Broderick, these people are the ones that have ethical and moral issues. And they need to be called out about that. And we need to continue to fight. We need to continue to build what we have here, not only for ourselves, but to save the children. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Thank you, Ray Amaya. Kevin Miller in the morning here. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. I do want to remind you, and we've been keeping this on the down low, but why not release it? The God and Country Festival, the Treasure Valley, the 52nd annual God and Country Festival, will be Tuesday, June 26th, the first chance you can see fireworks that are legal. And instead of blowing yourself up or going somewhere or doing it yourself, why not take part in the 52nd annual God and Country Festival at the Ford Idaho Center in the parking lot there, actually in the amphitheater. But it is so overflowing, you need to get there early. Gates open at 4. You want to get there and get a seat up front. You're going to see free music, free fun, and free fireworks. And, of course, you can listen to those fireworks on KIDO Talk Radio. When they blow up, we'll have a pre- and post-game show. I will be there, our great friend David Ferdinand, and all the people, the volunteers that make the God and Country Festival so spectacular. We really look forward to being a part of it this year. So stop by, say hello. That's Tuesday, June 26th. Gates open at 4. And if you're driving around Garrity and you go, what the heck's going on? The Walmart parking lot's filled up. Heck, the crowds even go back to where Crunch Fitness is on the hill. So get there early and enjoy the free music, fun, and God-friendly, family-friendly God and Country Festival. 52 years here in the Treasure Valley. Coming up, our friend Dave Petzel will join us. We're going to talk about the business of Korea, the business of China, and we're going to give him the business as we do. We look forward to that. Of course, Dave Petzo, the Petzo Center, Petzo Financial, a host of Money Matters. You can catch that every Saturday from 8 to 10 when Dave is in town or not broadcasting from an undisclosed location, or perhaps meeting with Paul Allen or Warren Buffett. Speaking of an international traveler, former President Bill Clinton continues to have issues with the Me Too movement. Remember, Bill, Mr. President, Mr. Former President, it's real simple. Keep your hands to yourself. Clinton appeared at the PBS NewsHour with Judy Woodruff, formerly of CNN, and this is what he had to say about the norms changing in our society today.
I assume you think that what happened with you was more serious than what happened with former Senator Al Franken. He was driven from office from the U.S. Senate. So norms have changed. Do you think that's a good thing?
Well, in general, I think it's a good thing, yes. I think it's a good thing that we should all have higher standards. I think the norms have really changed in terms of what you can do to somebody against their will, how much you can crowd their space.
Now, did you hear that? The norms have changed against what you can do to someone against their will. Now, Clinton is there to promote a book with James Patterson about the presidency and what happens if the presidency, they were taken over. White House Down goes to fiction. Well, it was fiction. It was a movie. But this time it goes to a book. But they have a real president. So poor James Patterson, all he wants to do is promote this silly book. And maybe he should have thought about going to one of the Bushes. But did you hear that what the former president said? What you can do to someone against their will. One more time, please. Actually, hold that thought. Traffic and weather together. KIDO Talk Radio, 580 AM, 107.5 FM. Good morning, Dave.